Hi everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be more of an informative video. I wanted to talk about the process of going cruelty-free and basically how I did it, why I did it, and to hopefully give those of you who are looking for advice some step-by-step ways to start your cruelty-free journey. So being cruelty-free is something that has been really important to me for several years now. I feel like I've learned a lot along the way, or at least a few things that hopefully will help you. So let's just start out by talking about what animal testing is. So animal testing, you've probably heard about it. I know the first time I heard about it, I wasn't quite sure what it meant. I kind of assumed it meant that like bunnies were having, lipstick put on them to like test out the colors or whatever. But it's actually a lot worse than it sounds. When we think of animals, we think of, cute, happy animals, but unfortunately animal testing is not cute, it's not happy. The most important thing to remember is that animal testing is not required in this country, in the United States, which is where I'm filming this video, and in most countries it's not required by law to test cosmetic products on animals. There are actually much safer and much more effective ways of doing it. So animal testing is a very outdated practice, but essentially it is one way of testing the safety and quality of a product or of an ingredient. So animal testing can be used for a lot of different things. The main focus of my channel, of course, is cosmetics and toiletries and things like that, but it can also be done on household cleaners quite commonly. Medicines. With medicine, that's actually a totally separate issue I'm not going to get into in this video. But for cosmetic testing and like household cleaners and things like that, it's not required by law, and again, there are much safer, more effective ways of testing the safety of a product. And not only that, but there are many limitations to animal tests. First of all, they tend to be quite inaccurate and unreliable. Just using your common sense, a mouse is not the same as a human. So if you're testing the safety of a chemical on a mouse, it may yield different results than if you were to, say, test it on human cells. So that brings the whole issue of consumer safety into question as well. Long story short, animal testing is very cruel, and not only that, it isn't necessarily effective, and it may not even be the safest way for us to see if products truly are safe for our use. So you might be wondering what kind of tests they do on animals. There are several different types of tests. The most common ones would be like toxicology tests, where they either force the animal to inhale a certain chemical, or force feeding a chemical to an animal, injecting a chemical into the skin, inserting chemicals and ingredients into an animal's eye. You can imagine. There are all kinds of different ways they inflict wounds and burns on the animals to see how certain products will affect their skin and affect their bodies. They'll do something called like a lethal dose, where they'll try to figure out how much of a product would actually kill the animal. So very sad. You don't have to be an animal lover like I am to understand and empathize and see that it's just really cruel to have an animal in a cage for its entire life. It's only getting enough care to keep it alive so that it can be used for these very painful tests. And so that's why I don't support it. The most common animals that are used for these tests, at least for cosmetics testing, would be mice, rabbits, guinea pigs, and rats. They also sometimes use dogs, animals that we all know and love, and I can't imagine seeing my pet go through something like that, so I wouldn't want to contribute my own money to a company that funds this type of thing. So let's get into what makes a brand cruelty-free, because as you can probably imagine, there are a lot of loopholes around this. So a company can say that it's cruelty-free. They can even put a little statement on their packaging that says, this product is not tested on animals, or, cruelty-free. They might even put a little logo of a bunny on there, and it doesn't always mean that it's truly cruelty-free, sadly. So you can't trust the labels. Sorry to say, but you can't. You have to do a little bit more research, but I'm going to tell you exactly how. It's really not hard. So let's talk about some of those loopholes that I mentioned. So oftentimes companies will say that they don't test their finished product on animals. What that actually probably means is that they don't test their finished product on animals, but they do test the ingredients that go into the finished product on animals. So there's still animal testing going on. Some companies will hire a third party to test their products on animals, so while they don't test, they are paying someone else to do it for them. Probably the biggest factor that makes a company not cruelty-free is usually that they sell their products in China. Now this is kind of complicated, but basically China requires all imported cosmetics to be tested on animals. So if a company, say, is based in the US or even the UK or somewhere else in Europe, they decide to sell their products in China and expand into the Chinese market, which of course is a great way for that company to make more money. They have to start testing their products on animals in China. So a lot of times we'll see companies that start out being cruelty-free. NARS is an example of this. NARS used to be cruelty-free. Just recently, they started selling in China, so they're no longer cruelty-free because they now test their products on animals. So a lot of times you'll see a company say, they try to claim that they're cruelty-free, but then at the end they'll say, except when required by law. And typically what that means is they sell in China. So those are just a few things that go into the process of figuring out if a company is cruelty-free. There are a lot of other little details that can go into it. Like I said, a lot of loopholes, so it's pretty hard for each of us to actually go through and find all this information ourselves, which is why I'm going to recommend my #1 cruelty-free resource, and that is Logical Harmony. Logical Harmony, I will link it in the description box, but Logical Harmony is my standard for my channel. Pretty much all of the products that I mention on my channel, unless I note otherwise, are approved to be cruelty-free by Logical Harmony. There are other cruelty-free lists out there that I don't find to be as trustworthy. From the research that I have done and from what I know, and a lot of other people in the cruelty-free community can agree, Logical Harmony is the most up-to-date, the most trustworthy cruelty-free list out there. Definitely do not recommend PETA's list. It's just, from what I have seen, it's just not trustworthy. I'll just leave it at that. I won't go into too much detail there, but definitely would not recommend looking at PETA's list. Leaping Bunny is an okay resource, but just trust me when I say that Logical Harmony is really the only cruelty-free list you need. I haven't counted, but I'm pretty sure there are hundreds of cruelty-free brands listed on there. She also has a pending brands list, which is the brands that she has started kind of reaching out to start the process of certifying them, but they may or may not be cruelty-free. They're kind of in that in-between process. Then she has a gray area brands list, which is companies that weren't able to give a clear statement regarding their policies, so they, again, may or may not be cruelty-free. I typically consider the gray area brands to be they might as well just be not cruelty-free, because if they can't provide enough information in the first place, then that's probably something fishy. And then finally she has her brands to avoid list, which is a list of brands that she has determined not to be cruelty-free. And this list is updated weekly. She never accepts money from companies in order to list them as cruelty-free. I just think it's the most unbiased, trustworthy, up-to-date resource you can use. I will link that information in the description box. I highly recommend you check it out. She also has a page on her website with step-by-step instructions on how to download the website as an app on your phone. So it's not really an app, but it's like you're basically downloading a link to the website, to the cruelty-free list on your phone, so that when you're out shopping, you can just quickly go and pull up the list. If you're wondering whether a brand is cruelty-free or not while you're shopping, I know that can be really hard. It's a really easy way to just double check before you purchase something. So like I said, when you are out shopping, a lot of times on products you will see some sort of logo that says cruelty-free, not tested on animals, etc. In general, I just completely disregard those. I know that when I was first starting out shopping cruelty-free, what I thought was that as long as a product said on the packaging, not tested on animals, then that meant it was cruelty-free. And if it didn't say that, it wasn't. Like, I just thought it was like a black and white situation. It's really not. A lot of cruelty-free brands don't say anything about animal testing on their packaging. A lot of non-cruelty-free brands will try to claim that they are. So in general, I would say don't trust the labels. Just look it up on Logical Harmony. Just look it up on Logical Harmony, and that's all the information you need. So let's talk a little bit about the process of going cruelty-free. So let's say you've decided you want to make the switch, but you have a lot of products in your makeup collection or in your bathroom that you use in the shower or things like that that aren't cruelty-free. My advice would be to hold on to those products and use them up, because you've already spent the money on it. It's not worth beating yourself up over it, because, I mean, you've already bought it. Now you know better, and now you won't purchase it again, but for now you might as well use it up instead of definitely don't throw it away, because that's super wasteful. If you have any unopened products that you just don't want, you could always see about donating them to a women's shelter or something like that, but you always want to call and double check to make sure they actually need products like that. But that's one option. You could donate them to friends as well, but my advice would be to use up the products you have and slowly replace them with a cruelty-free version once you run out. So that way it's not like a huge shock and you just have to start from scratch all over again, because most of us already have products that we're using and probably products that we like. So a good thing you could do is keep using the product that you like, but try to find a dupe for it or something that's similar that you find to give you the same kind of look or the same results. So that way you can kind of slowly transition to cruelty-free as opposed to just going like straight from one extreme to the other. Now there is one other issue that does get brought up a lot in the cruelty-free community, and that is the issue of parent company animal testing. I could make a whole video about this. I'm not going to talk about it for too long. Essentially what parent company testing is where a cruelty-free company is owned by another company. This is very common, but the company that they own has maintained their cruelty-free status despite being owned by that parent company. So an example of this would be NYX, the makeup company NYX, or NYX. They are a cruelty-free brand. They don't test their products on animals, but they are owned by L'Oreal, which does test on animals. So as you can probably tell, it's a very complicated issue. I don't have a strong opinion on this. Tashina from Logical Harmony, she has a YouTube channel as well, and she recently posted a really interesting video about this issue. Now, keep in mind, she is someone who is very behind the scenes with a lot of these companies. She's talked to the higher-ups at these companies. She's done a lot more research than you and I have. So I would recommend watching that video. I'm not going to tell you which side you should be on, because I don't think there should be sides anyway. I mean, we're all in this together. I will link that video down below. Definitely recommend you watching it if that is an issue that you want to learn more about. Please don't let that issue cause you any anxiety as you're going through this cruelty-free journey, because the biggest thing is that you have decided to lead a more compassionate lifestyle, and I'm so happy that you have decided to be on this journey. It's so much fun. At first it may feel like you are missing out on certain brands or certain products that you used to love, but the more products you find that are cruelty-free, the more you'll realize that you don't miss those non-cruelty-free products. So I feel like that's about all I'm going to talk about in this video. I think I just talked for way too long. Several months ago I did a cruelty-free, it was like the cruelty-free tag, and I will link that below. In that video I did answer some other questions about this lifestyle, so if you're interested in more information from me, I will link that below and you can watch that video as well. If you have any questions about this that I wasn't able to cover in this video, please leave them in the comments. I always answer comments, and I would love to start a conversation with you guys. I also want to mention there is a Facebook group if you're on Facebook, which who isn't these days. There's a Facebook group called Bunny Lifestyle, and it's a cruelty-free community. I highly recommend that if you're starting out going cruelty-free, definitely join that Facebook group. You can always ask questions on there, and there are over like 2,000 members in that group. Again, this is a group that uses logical harmony as the standard cruelty-free list, so just keep that in mind, but it's an amazing resource and you will never be without advice if you're in that group. So I will also link that in the description box. Lots of links to put down there. But anyway, I hope you guys found this video helpful and I hope I made sense. If not, again, please ask anything you want in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.